All right, welcome to episode 4 of the So Weird podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Kathy.
And I'm Emily.
And this week we are discussing episode 4, well, season 1, episode 4, Sacrifice is the topic of today's episode. And both the episode of this podcast and the episode we will be discussing. So, what's the supernatural mystery for this week?
Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious from the beginning with this episode. Unlike with Memory, we didn't have any idea what the supernatural phenomenon would be in the monologue, but, I mean, that's exactly what she's talking about.
Well, they sort of, if you actually look at the way the episode's laid out, they sort of look like they're going for a misdirect, because the first act has them talking about the Civil War, history in the area, and the possibility of ghosts, but then it goes into this left turn with Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah. In the beginning, when I think it was the ranger, was talking about the history, and then he brings up the Song of Shiloh. And I thought it was funny, Fee's face was just, she was so fascinated with the possibility of hearing.
Right, as soon as she hears...
It was so funny.
Yeah, as soon as she hears that there's some possible paranormal activity, her eyes get real big. She gets excited.
Yeah.
I love that look.
So if you just ignore that opening monologue, it does look like the episode's doing something of a misdirect. But yeah, the opening 2 minutes spoil that this is the required Bigfoot episode. Every supernatural themed series has to get to Bigfoot eventually.
Mm-hmm. Do you all like the Bigfoot myth?
Oh,
or legend?
Yeah, well, out of all the pseudosciences, cryptozoology has always been my favorite. Mm-hmm. Like the idea that, you know, not just Bigfoot, you know, I'm from West Virginia, so my state monster is the Mothman, and that's always been my favorite. But, you know, the Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster or the Chupacabra, all of these, obviously there's no actual hard scientific evidence that any of these creatures are real, but I like the idea, you know, in my heart they're real. This idea that there are monsters and mysteries out there, I do.
So do you watch those History Channel shows?
I usually do not.
Okay, I know there's a lot about Bigfoot.
A lot of those cable channel paranormal shows are just so silly. I can't get into them at all.
Same. Well, some of them I do like, but a lot of them, no, they're too out there.
Well, that Finding Bigfoot show should be renamed Drunk Rednecks Hanging Out in the Forest, because that's what it actually is.
Yeah, I like the Bigfoot phenomenon. But I think just, like, as a funny story, I guess, I don't know why, I bought a Bigfoot, what is it called, air freshener recently.
What does Bigfoot smell like, Kathy?
Pine cones. I went to this toy store in Austin, and they had a lot of funny things in there, and they had that typical Bigfoot pose that he does, and I'm like, yeah. I have to have that. I don't know why I'm into that, but yeah. And like those beef jerky commercials are just so hilarious to me, and like anything Bigfoot related is just so funny.
Well, Bigfoot is funny in the idea that, you know, you show something unusual doing something normal and it becomes funny. So Bigfoot walking around the forest, not funny. Bigfoot surfing the internet, funny.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a huge Bigfoot fan, if I'm being honest. In fact, when I started rewatching this episode a few years ago for the first time, and I realized it was the Bigfoot episode, I was like, oh no, can I just skip this one? You know, he's going to be getting lost in the forest. It's going to be really boring. I don't want to watch it. So I was surprised by how much I like this episode, even though I'm not into Bigfoot. There's more going on than just a Bigfoot legend.
Yeah, this one is a really well-written episode, I think. It has a couple of different themes, and they all convalesce very well. Mm-hmm. I guess we should give the plot synopsis for this one. This episode, the Phillips tour bus comes to a Washington park. I believe the town's called Shiloh, yes?
It's Shiloh National Park.
Okay.
And I think it's actually in Tennessee. I looked it up. I think it's in western Tennessee. It's like an actual park.
Well, there may be a real Shiloh Park in Tennessee, but I'm pretty sure this episode is set in Washington State, because that's Bigfoot country.
Oh, you know what? I looked it up wrong. There's a Shiloh National Military Park, so it's not an actual national park.
Yeah, I think they do go to Washington And then
Okay,
they start talking about the Battle of Shiloh.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense because, yeah, just ignore me. But the trees are totally wrong. So when I was watching this and I thought it was in Tennessee, I was like, no, that's not right. The trees don't look like Tennessee trees.
Well, it was shot in
They're
Vancouver, so.
I know. I was just being picky. Yeah.
The tree continuity is all wrong. But anyway, yeah, the Phillips family tour bus comes to this park because Molly's got some time off. They're going on a little picnic vacation type thing.
Yeah, Molly wants to go camping. Irene definitely does not want to. I feel kind of bad for her.
Yeah, she has a pretty small role in this episode.
Yeah, but it's funny because whenever they do outdoor type of things, she's always complaining. She wants to go to a hotel. She wants indoor AC and all that.
Though I assume it's cold out because everybody's wearing jackets and hats in this episode.
Yeah, it looks like it's freezing. It probably is freezing in Vancouver.
So they go off into the forest just to hike, and Fiona gets distracted by this idea of possibly looking for Ghost when she finds not a ghost, but Sasquatch. And that leads her on a little adventure where she gets separated from her family and ends up trying to actually lead the Sasquatch to a different area, because the area they're in is going to be deforested. Deforested? Is that a past tense?
Yeah, for a new lobby that they want to make.
They're knocking down the trees, so Fiona the Bigfoot saves her early in the episode, and she has to return the favor at the end. So we talked about the whole connecting this to the Civil War, and what does she find in the Sasquatch cave?
I think Bigfoot presents her, actually, with a journal and a necklace. And inside the necklace is a picture of a couple. It's an old picture of a couple and a baby. And then she reads the journal and finds out that it was written by a captain in the Confederate Army. I believe that's right.
Right, because apparently the Bigfoots live hundreds of years, I guess is what we're supposed to take from this.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I'm not too familiar with the Bigfoot legend, so I don't know if that's a common idea or not. But
not as far as I know, but, Bigfoot's magic anyway, so sure. Yeah, and there's also actually the skeleton and the uniform of the dead soldier. And we get some extensive flashbacks to the soldier in the cave. Apparently he was injured on the battlefield, and the Sasquatch rescued him, brought him to the cave, and there he died because he didn't want to risk having the creature be detected, because he figured if these soldiers find Bigfoot, they would shoot at it.
Yeah, I liked the letter that he wrote, and some of my favorite lines were he didn't want to expose him because he didn't want soldiers to harm him out of fear or ignorance. And he says the value of Bigfoot's existence, he thinks, is greater than his own. So he sacrificed himself.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, title drop.
And I just feel like that's such a heavy line for a family show that was on Disney Channel.
Well, I mean, can you imagine a Disney Channel show having a main character find the petrified ancient corpse of somebody? It would not happen. Don't think Hannah Montana's going to stumble upon a skeleton in a Confederate uniform.
So, like we said before, the legend of Bigfoot is quite different than other stories, other show stories that they use. This one is sympathetic, and he seems kind of nice overall.
Yeah, this is a compassionate Sasquatch.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the creature in Frankenstein, because in that story, the creature just wants to be friends with the people around him, and he brings them. I don't remember if he brings them food, but he brings them things. So I got a little similarity between them.
Well, maybe. What do we think of the Bigfoot makeup in this? The show writers made a pretty smart decision by mostly keeping Bigfoot behind some bushes and trees, so you don't really get a good look at what was probably not that convincing of a costume.
Probably not. Even when they show his face, the quality is still pretty dim. Like there's no lights on him or anything.
Yeah, and if I didn't know that it was supposed to be Bigfoot and you just showed me a shot, I wouldn't have known that was Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's just a hairy guy.
Yeah.
But television budget, they got to work with what they're given.
hmm
Yeah, and something we mentioned earlier how the Sasquatch is a friendly, helpful because while walking through the woods, Fiona actually stumbles off a little cliff there, and the Bigfoot saves her by pulling down a branch and giving it to her. Now that sequence is actually works pretty well. I think it's well orchestrated.
Hmm.
There's some
Yeah.
decent suspense.
It's really the only suspenseful moment in the whole episode.
Yeah, it's a pretty laid back episode otherwise. But just when I was just rewatching it a few minutes ago, I noticed the sound effect for the branch coming off doesn't sound like just a branch being torn down. It sounds like an entire tree being pushed over. Anybody else notice that?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think I did. It's pretty cool. I like it.
The Foley expert was asleep at the wheel on that one.
Maybe.
I think when I was thinking back, I always thought, like, why is, this creature helping Fee randomly? But Fee explains that she was singing the song, and I think the Bigfoot started whistling it, and so she's like, oh, he followed me because I was singing the song.
Right, and he
Recognized it.
Yeah, he left a little patch of this uniform on the tree there.
Yeah.
And what do we think of the Bigfoot whistling? Is that a little silly?
It's pretty silly. But it works pretty good with the episode.
Well, I'm a speech
I think so.
language pathologist, and so we're all about like communication and that kind of thing. And so imitation is like one of the beginning ways that people attempt to communicate. So his attempt of whistling is, it's if he like kept up with it, I guess, and kept learning from it, which he hasn't because he hasn't been in contact with anyone for however many years now. Maybe eventually he would learn to communicate. So it is silly, but I thought it was interesting too.
What do we think of Fiona's monologues throughout this episode? She's mostly, because the Bigfoot doesn't talk back, she's talking at the Bigfoot, and that's where the bulk of our dialogue in those middle sections come from.
I like it. She throws in quite a few jokes in there.
Yeah, what's the Bigfoot's middle name?
Fuzzy. That one's so funny. And then she's like, it's going to be hairy for a while. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
she's pretty adorable.
It is. Some cute, funny dialogue there. Now, as far as the Phillips family goes, this episode has a really good Jack moment.
Yeah, there's good sibling moments in this episode. It starts off again with Jack teasing Fee because she wants to whistle and try to hear whistles back, and then he's like, if they can whistle, why don't they just come out and talk to you?
Oh, and then it leads to that really bizarre bit of dialogue from Clue about don't knock on an empty house.
Oh, yeah!
It's like you're not supposed to ring a doorbell of an empty house,
What are you talking about?
Something might answer.
But you just said it was an empty house.
It is. Except for the monster.
What monster?
The monster in the house.
Clue, if there's a monster in the house...
Could you please be quiet?
It's so funny. It's such a Clue thing, I guess.
Because the monster that lives there, man.
That's so hilarious.
Some odd circular dialogue there. But the good sibling moment is after they think that Fiona's been lost, the family goes out. Everybody goes out looking for her, of course. And Jack does a little... It's basically he's praying and hopes. He says something about how, telekinesis is Fiona's thing, not his. But it just so happens that she's like right over the other tree and eavesdrops on this little private moment, which is it's a sweet moment for sure.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah, you can see that, he'll do anything, even try the CSP thing for Fee and for her safety. And I just think it's brilliant that she happens to overhear and is able to, play him up.
At the end?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
love that too.
The conversation at the end of the episode circles back to that in a decent way.
Do you think he caught on? Or do you...
I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's such an unlikely circumstance that she would just happen to be there and overhear that.
No, I don't think he caught on.
We see his mouth open up and then it shifts to another scene. It's very funny. So what do you think? Because, so he tells Fee to give, Molly a sign. So we see Fee's sign in the next scene, and she uses her flashlight and the batteries to make a smiley face.
Yeah.
What do you think of this sign? Because to me, if I saw this and one of my family members was missing, I'd think, oh God, a serial killer has gotten them. This is really creepy. I would not find it comforting at all. Maybe that's just me.
Well, that is sort of a weird thing to do, to leave the little flashlight and the batteries, and I think she makes the mouth with with some sticks she had found. It is kind of an odd symbol to leave there. Yeah, I don't know if that would be exactly comforting if I was looking for a family member that had been lost in the woods.
Yeah, but maybe they think it is Fee. She's weird. Should do something like this? I don't know.
Fiona's lucky that the family would then find her like 15 minutes later, because if it had gotten dark and she hadn't have had her flashlight, she would have felt pretty bad.
True. Yeah. I think maybe she just should have taken the stick and, like, written in the dirt, "I'm fine, Fee."
Yeah,
that would have been a little more convincing.
Made a little more sense, perhaps. Yeah, that's a good point. So we didn't mention what the song actually is. Does anybody remember the name of the song that's sang throughout this episode?
Yeah, the song is called Lorena, and then Molly sings a bit of the tune. Well, no, yeah, she sings the lyrics also. And she says it's a depressing love song. I think about a soldier.
Yeah, it's about a soldier who's dying and is missing his girlfriend or wife, lover, and which is foreshadowing for the actual events that happen later in the episode, we find out. But I was disappointed they didn't bring back that little bit of the little bit of the song that Molly had sung and played that over the end credits. I was really hoping they'd do that.
Did they not?
No, they played the generic happy music that ends some of the episodes. And I guess it wouldn't have mattered because the Disney announcer talking about "stay tuned for the jersey" or whatever would have played over it, but it would have been nice to hear that nevertheless.
I think that song is pretty popular. If you go on YouTube, you can find videos of people singing it at like Civil War reenactments.
Yeah, it is a real song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really pretty. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice melody. Mm-hmm. So I guess, is there anything else you want to say about this one? Other than that, we all seem to like Sacrifice. This is a favorite of mine. I think we all seem to enjoy it.
I think this episode is also pretty educational because in the beginning she talks about our ancestors from way back then. She says that we're the name of the Homo sapien, I guess. Australopithecus?
Yes, Australopithecus.
Never heard that, so I Googled that, and then she talks about the Battle of Shiloh, and then I Googled that. And then, the song Lorena.
Yeah, they actually do pack in a lot in this episode. It has the whole Bigfoot aspect, then they roll some anthropology into that, and it has the Civil War aspect, so they roll some history into that. And then there's also this theme of forest conservation in a roundabout kind of way.
Yeah, and I like also when they talk about what they're going to do with the new lobby. Clue asks, if some animals, they're going to take over their homes or something, but they said no, they did research, I think, and they'll be fine, and it's also going to create a lot of jobs.
Mm-hmm. I think that was a good character moment for Clue too. It shows that he's obviously thought like he's not just the Joker. He's got his own thoughts about what's going on.
So it does raise an interesting point that a 13-year-old girl could find Bigfoot, but the park rangers couldn't when they surveyed the area.
Yeah, I always thought that was weird that Bigfoot was living in some national park.
Yeah, I guess they never found his cave. I mean, wouldn't they have done something or at least noticed the drawings? Well,
you would think.
The skeleton?
Yeah, the skeleton. I keep forgetting about that.
Well, it's just the idea, if Bigfoot actually does exist in the real world, nobody's found him yet. And that's the biggest hole in the cryptozoology thing, that nobody's ever found a body or any sort of actual concrete evidence. I mean, I know Fiona says in the opening of this episode that they've found hair samples, but scientists refuse to believe, is the quote. Not exactly. It's not that they refuse to believe, it's that none of the evidence has been compelling.
Yeah.
Nobody's found a Sasquatch body or droppings or anything.
Yeah, and then Fee also talks about evidence. 'Cause, in the beginning, when Jack was joking about the ghosts and everything, and then she's like, "Wait till I find some hard evidence." And then at the end, she brings up how, she doesn't have evidence yet.
Yeah, but she could have, right? I mean, that's what I like the most about this episode is that Fee's story kind of parallels the soldiers.
Right.
So when they do the voiceover of his letter, when he's talking about he could hear his soldiers calling out for him, you also see a shot of like Irene and Ned searching for Fee.
Yeah,
And
they're
so,
parallel.
Yeah, Fee makes the same choice to not give up his location. And that's my favorite thing about this episode. I think it's just really well done.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier when I said that it's a well-written episode, and like the construction and the different layers and how the different themes and ideas tie in together was what I was referring to there. So, But I'm a screenwriting nerd, so anytime I pick up on like a script construction thing, it's like, ooh, I see what the writer did there. I caught that.
Yeah. Who is this writer? We need to give them major kudos.
Yeah, we should actually look up who writes the individual episodes. I've never thought to do that.
Yeah, I only know the ones that John Weisman did. Let's see. Sacrifice. Written by Bruce Zimmerman.
He's written a few episodes for the show, hasn't he?
I
don't know. The name sounds familiar for some reason.
He did Blues, which is interesting.
Okay.
I think, and the season 3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, well, this is his best work then.
Yeah. Yeah. He did the good episodes of season 3.
What are the good episodes?
Yeah, what are the good
episodes? That's subjective. But, well, the ones that I like Voodoo.
Oh.
And, Still Life, when they get into that painting.
Still Life is good. That's a season 3 episode I like.
Yeah. And Dead Ringer.
Yeah, Dead Ringer isn't too bad either. Those actually are some of the better season 3 episodes.
Yeah, so.
Sorry to all you season 3 fans out there. We'll get to
Yeah,
it,
I'm sorry. I try not to say bad things about it because I do know there are fans that like season 3. So I try my best not to brag on it.
Well,
and I don't hate it. I don't
hate
hate it. It's just not.
All right, well, I don't hate anything, not really.
I can watch it, and I can watch it. But,
yeah, so I think this is, last time I was talking about how I said Escape was the first, or not Escape, Memory was the first really good episode of the series, but I think I take that statement back. Sacrifice is the first really good episode of the series. I think the series finally found its groove, and from now on I think season 1 runs pretty smoothly.
I think, this is personally my favorite early season 1 episode. I like the first 3 episodes. Not a huge fan of the ones coming up, but I feel like this episode is, the best, and I think this is where the show got its footing, especially with the Phillips family. Like, I really feel like their dynamic works here. So.
Well, that run from Angel to Rebecca, that's some of the best season 1 episodes there, those 3.
I agree. What about you, Kathy? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I really liked Memory. For some reason, it's not an episode that comes to my mind when I think of like really good episodes from season 1 and 2.
You mean Sacrifice?
Oh yeah, sorry. Sacrifice. It's really good. If I were to rate it, I would give it a 8 out of 10.
Well, looking at my old review here, I gave it a 7 out of 10, but I don't know, I might bump it up to an 8 for on this rewatch. That's fair.
I think the only reason why I wouldn't give it another point is because I really enjoy the plot with Rick, and I know we don't get that much in season 1, but whenever there gets mentioned, it's another point for me.
Yeah, not too much mythology, so weird mythology in this episode.
It's not really an episode that drives the story, but
I guess
again, season 1, there's not that many episodes like that.
Yeah, well, I guess Strangeling is the first one that would really start to lay the bricks for the ongoing mythology. And that'll be coming up in a few weeks, so.
Hopefully, I mean, with our recording schedule, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, we don't really have a pre-designated time we do an episode. Whenever we can all get together, seems for a while there we were going about once a week, and then some people had some stuff. So now it's whenever it happens, whenever an episode gets out. That's so. Yeah, overall, this is one I like. Oh, did you give your rating for Sacrifice?
I'm not a big fan of ratings. I mean, I am actually, but I'd really have to sit down and kind of think about it. I'm very particular about that kind of thing. So, but it is at one point I ranked like my top 5 episodes for season 1, and it was number 5. I don't know if that would still be the case or not, but there you go.
Give me 1 second. I've got my ranking over here.
Oh, okay.
I think this was in my top 10. Yeah, I have this at number 8 in my top 10. So ranks pretty high.
It's a good one, though. I would, though, like to just point out, this is a little off topic. Well, so at the end of the episode, when Fee, distracts the others by falling into the water, I could take a point off if I was giving a rating, because it looks like Bigfoot is running the wrong way. Like, she was like, here, go to Skull Peak, and then, like, the way it's shot, it looks like he's running in the complete opposite direction. So I worry for him. I really do.
Smart enough to whistle, not smart enough to follow basic directions.
Yeah.
I was going to say, when Fiona falls in the river there, it's like 2 inches of water she's struggling around in. Sort of a silly moment for sure.
Yeah, it's another one of her silly moments in the show.
But she's upset. She got separated from her family. That's her cover story anyway.
Yeah, it's a nice reunion moment. And also, to continue, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. So we talked about how Jack asks Fee if he got her sign, but right before that, he asks her what happened. And I like this moment too. So she starts talking, and she's like, well, I thought I saw a Bigfoot running by, so I went off the path, and then it, like, trails off because she sees the look on Jack's face. I really like that moment because he looks almost disappointed because he thought, like, she genuinely got lost. Like, she wasn't trying to get off the path. It just kind of happened. And so when he finds out that she's still on this weird stuff and that it's like putting her in harm's way, he looks a little like it's just a great moment, I think.
Well, I think Jack is probably used to giving Fiona's those looks.
Yeah, but I think Fee finally recognizes it, or at least gets a sense of how worried she makes them.
Yeah, I think so also, because during the whole time we didn't really see Fee thinking about what her family would probably be thinking if she was gone. She was just worried about Bigfoot and his survival. So I like how they added that at the end.
Yeah. So yeah, overall, pretty good one. I think we all like this one, and weird that the show would never revisit Bigfoot. This is one they wouldn't come back to. They'd come back to the alien thing, and they'd do a couple of different ghost episodes, but Bigfoot they never came back to, which is odd because he's in the opening credits.
Oh yeah,
it's true.
But I guess Bigfoot can't really do anything.
I guess there's only unless it's an alien Bigfoot.
That's crazy there.
Also ironic, Dave Squatch has a smaller role in this episode.
Oh, man.
All right, so anything else we want to say? I think somebody mentioned there was some YouTube feedback we got?
Yeah, we've gotten some feedback from our podcast episodes. We got one comment on YouTube for our first episode from a user named Shelly Ray. She says, great start to a great new podcast. Excited to see where it's going to go. I have so many memories of staying up super late at sleepovers and getting totally spooked out. I haven't thought about the series in a really long time, but had a flashback of the werewolf episode recently and been trying to research what it was from. I've been watching little episodes here and there on YouTube. Freaky then, freaky now, in the best possible way. In the best way possible. So, good luck with the podcast. Thanks for all the spooky memes.
Memes? Oh,
Mems.
memories. Oh, okay.
Memories, yeah.
I've never heard somebody abbreviate memories to memes before.
Memes. Yeah, so thanks for that, Shelley. That was a really great comment.
I also find Werewolf to be one of the more memorable episodes.
Yeah, Werewolf's one I like a lot too. That's probably the spookiest episode, I think.
I would disagree, but
Well, we'll get to that in time.
it is spooky, but it's not the spookiest for me. So.
All right, well, I gotta know. What do you think is the scariest episode, Emily?
Well, no, okay, now watching, none of them scare me. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm just thinking about how I reacted when I was younger. And the scariest episode for me, believe it or not, was Angel.
Okay, that one's kind of spooky.
Yeah, and we'll get into it then when we get to it. So it definitely freaked me out.
All right, so are we have everything we need to say on this one? Any other comments or anything?
We've also gotten some feedback on our Tumblr pages and Facebooks. I don't have those pulled up, but thanks for giving us those. We really like hearing what you guys say, and I think on Facebook you guys asked for more episodes, so we'll be putting out more episodes.
Do we have the address for the Facebook page?
Does Facebook have an address? Let me look it up. It's just called So Weird.
Okay, just www.facebook.com/soweird.
There are a few So Weird pages, though, aren't there?
Yeah, mine, it's a page. Yeah, it's because there's one that has a lot of likes. That's not ours. That one has like 17,000 likes or so. Ours has like 188.
Oh, that's the Wikipedia page. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah, when Facebook sees that a lot of people are talking about something, they automatically create a page for it that people can like, but not really discuss the show on or anything. So,
Oh, I see.
yeah, but that's cool. 17,000.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, thanks to all the listeners and everybody who gives feedback, and definitely, if you like what you hear, send us more comments, more likes, what have you. That'd be great.
Yeah, and if you have questions on where to find anything, I know we always say we have all these links to things, but maybe our forum is hard to navigate or something. Just comment or tweet us or whatever, and I'll send you to link to whatever you guys want to find.
Yeah. What's the Twitter? Is it just Twitter/SoWeird or @SoWeird?
At So Weird on Disney.
Okay.
So yeah.
Great.
I know I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that I got one of the scripts on eBay for Second Generation.
Oh,
So
you did?
Yeah. And
Awesome.
I'm
Cool.
planning to scan all that and just making a PDF because at my school we have this scanner that's super easy to use. You just put it's usually for textbooks. You just put that under the scanner and then it scans and turns into PDFs automatically.
Oh, okay.
Is there
'cause
any?
Yeah,
sorry.
I have the script. Sorry, I have the script to Fountain. So I haven't been able to scan it in though because I'm not sure how to scan it into one document, one PDF. So I have to figure that out. But
Are there any deleted scenes or anything in the scripts?
Yeah, there's a few changes. I read it when I got it, which was last month, so I don't really remember, but there's not that many changes, but there's just a few different dialogue.
Well, I'll have to look up So Weird on eBay. I've never tried to find So Weird memorabilia on the internet, so I'll have to look for that.
Yeah, people will post on the forum that there's something on eBay because I don't keep up with eBay, So Weird stuff on eBay also, but someone posted that there's these scripts on sale for, I think they were pretty cheap.
I get stuff off of eBay way more than I should. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's pretty rare finds. There's a crew member jacket.
Well, I would think that pretty much any So Weird merchandise or memorabilia would be fairly rare. Aside from the books, I don't remember seeing any merchandise for the show when it was on.
no, they didn't make any. I don't think.
They only made merch for the cast and crew, and then they sell it on eBay.
All right, well, I think we should wrap it up. So this has been episode 4 of the So Weird podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Kathy.
And I'm Emily.
And keep listening, keep watching, and stay weird.
The years move slowly by, Lorena. The frost is on the grass again. And what we might have been, Lorena.
Thank you, everybody. I'll be back with more depressing love songs right after we get the tents up.